Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another HEAV convention party. Tonight is Thursday night. Friday is just around the corner. And also, we have our convention coming up right around the corner, June 9th, 10th, and 11th. I can't believe it's almost here. I have missed convention. I was in the Midwest for a couple of years and came back in 2020. So excited to be back in Virginia, be back with my family, and be back with convention. And as we all know about how 2020 went, we didn't have convention that year. And then 2021, we did convention a little bit differently. And now here we are, 2022, ready to have convention in person again. I am so excited. So we're excited to talk to you tonight with some very exciting speakers. They're sweet ladies. I've had the opportunity to chat with them a little bit before tonight's conversation that we'll have with them in just a little bit. But for those of you who are just now joining, first of all, say hello to us in the comments. We cannot wait to talk with you there. We have some HEAV friends there to chat. You have some other new friends that you can meet to chat with. And I have an icebreaker question for you. What is the first thing you will do at convention? I can think of a lot of different things that I will do as the first thing at convention. Probably the most pertinent thing. I will drive my car there. I will park it in the parking garage and walk on over to UCS in C Hall this year and start helping my parents set up for the used curriculum sale. We're so excited that we get to bring that sale back to you this year. And that is how my convention experience will kick off. But what are you excited to do at convention? Are you excited to catch up with a friend that you haven't seen in a while who's been a deep encouragement to you in your homeschool journey? Or are you excited to mark out all of the workshops that you plan on attending and sit down and compare notes with your husband or your friend or maybe your kids that are coming with you? Are you excited to visit the exhibit hall and check off a couple of those booths that you've been dying to get new curriculum or resources from? What is the first thing you will do at convention? Drop your comments below. Melissa, UCS. Yes, we're so excited to see you. Jennifer is going to pick up her volunteer packet. That leads me to a very important topic that we want to hit on tonight. First of all, make sure that you pre-register. Pre-registration closes this weekend. Do not miss it. Please pre-register. And additionally, if you're coming to convention, we have so many opportunities for you to give back to HEAV, to give back to the homeschooling community, to serve your fellow homeschooling parents. We have so many amazing volunteer opportunities, from welcoming people at our HEAV table to assisting with setup and assisting in the used curriculum sale. We have a large need in there as well. There are a myriad of ways that you can serve and give back to the homeschool community. And quite frankly, our need this year is pretty significant. We are looking for volunteers to serve alongside us. So if that's you, if that's your desire, you're thinking, wow, I've been blessed by HEAV. I know some really great homeschool moms that I would love to give my time to, some homeschool dads that I'd love to encourage. We've got a great fit for you. So that is something I wanted you guys to touch on and be aware of. Pre-registration coming to a close, and volunteer. Christy, is this your first convention? Oh, you are gonna love it. You're gonna love it. And they did not pay me to say that. They don't pay me. I'm here as a volunteer, just like we need more volunteers at the convention. Karen is really excited for the exhibit hall. I am too. They have cool stuff in there. Judith is ready to schedule some sessions with her family and hit the UCS. Colleen, meeting new friends. Colleen, it's your first time? I can't wait to talk about that. Colleen is one of our guests tonight, and she will be chatting with us a little bit later. So it's cool that this is going to be her first convention. Side note, well, not a side note, a really significant central note, we have giveaways tonight. We're having a lot of giveaways going on. So here is how you can get a giveaway. You can enter to win one of our giveaways. As it says right here in the bottom of my screen, comment and share the video or a post from our page tonight. We have a lot of different posts that we are sharing for our party. Comment and share this video or a post from our page tonight to enter to win a great giveaway. We've got a couple of previews that we'll be sharing with you in just a little bit, but we always have good giveaways. It's always something really, really helpful for you, for your kids, for your family. I have not been disappointed in the giveaway yet. So if you want to win one of those, it's very easy. Comment, connect with some friends, tag your friends, let them know that we're having this party tonight. Join them, have them join you. And you get bonus entries if you share this video. So if you have not already downloaded our convention app, a couple of more bullet points that I want to get through before we really get kicking off tonight. Make sure you download our convention app. It's available on Google Play. It's available on the Apple Store. It's the whole convention at your fingertips. You can look at your schedule. You can look at the workshops. You can make sure that you know when the exhibit hall closes for the day or when UCS shopping is open for your ticket for the day. The link is in the comments. Go to the comment section and check it out. Or you can go to heav.org/convention to learn more about the app. Really useful tool. You're already going to have your phone with you. You might as well have the app there to make it a seamless, easy experience. As a reminder, registration ends tomorrow on May 20th. So register now. The price will go up if you're not sure if you should register now or register at the door, but you know you're coming to convention, go ahead and register. It's much more cost effective to do it now as opposed to waiting at the door. And additionally, it is the last chance for you to sign up for add-ons. We will not have our add-ons available on site. So if you have an event add-on that you're thinking about building into your schedule, you'll be able to do that through pre-registration only. So don't miss out. So those are all of my announcements for the evening. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. We will be so happy to address those. If it's about convention, if it's about our speakers, we'll be very happy to address any of those with you tonight. So last week, was it last week? It was last week, actually. I don't remember if it was last week. My timeline is all off in my head. But our last Facebook party, we addressed the topic of subjects in school that are difficult to teach your kids. And overwhelmingly, I was not surprised by this, but overwhelmingly, the answer most parents gave was math. If you want to drop a little hand raise emoji in the comments, say, yes, that was me. I answered it. It's true. Or maybe you were a homeschool student, or regardless of where you went to school, you just remembered math was not your best friend. That was me. English, reading, literature, my joy, my delight, it was wonderful. Math, oh, I wish I was anywhere else with any other book. I would even have gladly dug into my science book a little bit more. I did not like math. However, we have a sweet, sweet guest tonight who has already encouraged me to think a little bit differently about math. Her name is Nicole Thomas, otherwise known as the Math Lady. She is a homeschool parent. She created Nicole the Math Lady online video lessons for Saxon math students that make math approachable and enjoyable. Those are two challenges for kids and parents. And now this website, it used to serve just a few dozen students, and now it has grown to serve thousands of students each day. She has created not only an educational website, but a family environment where children and parents share the common belief that when education is fun, there are no limits to what a child can learn. And that is a really exciting concept. Nicole holds a BA in economics as well as psychology from Stanford University, and she lives in Florida with her family. So she will be sharing at the convention this year about finding your math match, math for parents who stink at math. I think my mom would have wanted that seminar back in the day. And the 4 M's to making math stick are some of her topics. So welcome, Nicole. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thank you, Hannah. I'm so excited to be here. And like, a little shout out to Becca there. Becca's like, we're switching to Nicole the Math Lady.
Becca! And for her second year homeschooling, she's making some very good decisions in her second year. Good job, Becca.
awesome.
Well, Nicole, we chatted briefly about my lack of love for the math topic earlier, but I don't think there is any lack of love for math in your dynamic. You've worked on creating this curriculum and this resource really for students and their parents to help them put the fun back into math. But if we have to put the fun back into math, that means that some people don't think it's fun, right? So why do you think that math is such a difficult subject for parents to teach their kids?
Well, it's funny. Like I feel blessed that like math was always one of those things that I just was kind of naturally good at.
Yeah.
But it's funny though, because when I talk to our parents and when we talk about, teaching math and that, they can do it. And I'm thrilled that I'm, if they're feeling like they need a little help, I'm here. But here's what they tell me. They always tell me that, Nicole, I'm an English person. I'm a literature person, that I read books and my brain doesn't work for math. And it's like, you know what? So I get it. I totally understand. We have someplace we feel more comfortable, which is great. I have a philosophy: do what you do best and outsource the rest. I stick with my passions, and if it's not in my passion, I try to find somebody else who's passionate about it. But a lot of what I found is a lot of people, we were talking before we started, have this math trauma.
Yes.
The math trauma is like, when I was in school, I didn't do well in math, or I just felt I was always kind of dumb around math. And like, now you want me to teach it to somebody? Like it's not a good formula, right? But, it's okay. Like math, here's what's so awesome about math. This is what I love about it. It is a process, right? Mm-hmm. It's about process. It's about organization. It's about understanding a process and being able to apply it over and over in different situations. And, math is wonderful, but to me, like that's life, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we could really learn how to, learn a process and apply it, and like that's more important to me. Again, I love math. I love what we do, but really, I feel like we are here to motivate, the joy and the love back in the learning. And like, yeah, we do it through math, so, I think it's okay, parents. It's all right if you have a little math trauma. You can teach math. We're going to help you do it. Okay.
With that level of positivity, I almost could run the charge. I think parents need to hear that yes, it's okay if you're not that good. And I remember my mom sharing that back when she was homeschooling us. One of her, I guess, insecurities, you really could say, was not being sure if she could teach her kids math. But hearing the kind of hope in your voice, and knowing that you've connected with thousands of parents and children who have had that same struggle, and you're still saying, hey, no, you can do this.
You can do it.
That's a very hopeful message.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah. And I would love to kind of take us down a path of, I guess there's some conventional thinking out there that maybe parents also wrestle with, that says that boys are good at math and girls are good at reading. Is there any truth to that adage? Is there any truth there? How can we navigate that?
Yeah, I say take that and toss it in the trash. Like,
I like to hear it.
So here's what I think. Like, I looked at my website, I saw the question and I was like, okay, I probably could Google and see if there's any research to this, but I'm going to look at my own students and see how that goes. So we have something called the class chat, and it's where students can help other students. They can go on, and if a student has a question, they can help them, and they can say, oh, here's how you do it. Give them an explanation. I was looking at the responses from our students, and I would say probably like 65 to 70% of my class chatters who are helping other students were young ladies. So yay for the young ladies, I mean,
girls.
I'm good with that. So no, I mean, again, look at me. Like and if you had said to me, Nicole, you're going to be teaching math, I'm not sure if I would have agreed to that when I was in elementary school. Like I loved it. I was good at it. And then I found, I love that it's this process, that if we can teach you this process and give you all the foundation behind it. So no, I'm not going with that old adage. Girls rock at math, so do boys. And again, if you've got, if it reaches you in such a way that you get it, anybody can get it. Anybody can get it. That's what I love about it.
Well, then with that mentality, so now we've established here are some maybe unhealthy mindsets. We have the math trauma. We have the maybe girls are better than boys. Maybe boys are better. Like, we don't know. Anybody can do it. So now that we've dismantled those things a little bit, how important is curriculum in helping kids learn math? Is there anything more important? What role does curriculum play?
Yeah. So, okay, this is a great question, because before I started homeschooling, before I entered this space, I did not know that curriculum was as big a deal as it was, right? So people, people know that I teach this. I literally took the Saxon math curriculum, started in 3rd grade and went all the way up to 12th grade. And I taught every single lesson in the book.
Wow.
And so people think, well, that's the Saxon math girl. She thinks that one's the best. The truth is, I think it's a great curriculum. My daughter had it, so I was familiar with it. I honestly did not know it was as big a deal when I entered this space. It was like, oh, I picked the right one, But do I think that everybody needs to be doing Saxon math? And the answer is no, I don't. I think there's lots of different curriculums, and people like get kind of like they're like teams. It's like the Yankees and the Dodgers. Like, I'm on my Saxon math curriculum and I'm on my other one. And so here's what I say, and this is one of the workshops I'm going to be teaching, is about we call it curriculum speed dating. It's about finding your curriculum match. For me, it's really about your student and how they learn, and finding a match for your student. Meaning, there's not just like, oh, this is a great curriculum. Is it a great curriculum for your student? And that's where we want to spend our time. So, and as I said, I love the curriculum that I chose, and we've actually been at Nicole the Math Lady reviewing other curriculums, and our, I don't want to let too many things out of the bag yet, but we're going to hopefully be adding some other things yet to be, named, some other curriculums. So if you're like not a Saxon math person, that's okay, because there's other ways to learn math than just that one method, So curriculum is a big deal, but I'm going to say teaching is the other half of that. It's really being able to speak to kids in such a way that they get it, that they just go, oh, I got it. Like, well, that was easy. I got it. That's what we want, no matter what curriculum. So if you're teaching and there's not a lot of those moments, it might be time to look at that particular curriculum, the way information is being presented, and maybe think, I want to get to those, oh, I got it moments. We want lots of those. So, there's lots of different ones. It's about finding the match. So if you're looking for a workshop where you want to find your match, come on by.
That sounds like a great resource. I remember when I was, of course, still in, my math educational journey, my mom had started me off with one curriculum, and I was not having those aha, I get it moments. And then she switched me over to a different one, and I was like, oh, that's how that works. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, I think I would agree from personal experience as a homeschool student with that experience. I have one more question for you, but I see we have a question from Laura, so I'd love to address that. She said, help a mom of a teen out. How should I answer the question, when will I ever use this in real life? Take it away, Nicole.
Okay, so do you want the real answer, or do you want the answer? So here's what I tell some of my students, right? I was in my advanced math trigonometry book today. I was working with my neighbor's kid who needed some help, and he came over, and we're talking about the sine and cosine of this triangle. And, so is he probably, if he's not going into a math or science career, is he going to use sine, tangents, and cosines? Probably not. I mean, you could say just in exposing him, you might trigger something. There's always that possibility. But I kind of think kids, by the time they're teenagers, kind of know a little bit of who they are. They kind of know what attracts them, what's their interest. So for me, it's not about that particular math, but it is about what has to happen to your brain and the thinking that has to happen in your brain to be able to do math. Like, to me, higher level math is almost like a course, in a legal course. It's almost like being able to take logic and be able to explain your point and be able to go from A to B to C. It's a thinking subject. It's a logic subject. It's organizational subject. So yeah, you might not be, using, I'm going to definitely say till algebra 1 for sure. You're going to be using algebra 1. You will in your life. Get a little past that, maybe not those exact concepts, but it's what's happening to your brain and how you're organizing your thoughts and your thinking to be able to apply it. You're going to use every day. So we're just using math as the way to develop those skills.
I love that. I love that answer. I think I had an engineer actually explain that same thing to me. And so hearing that from an engineer's perspective, even an engineer going, we're not necessarily gonna know this, but he even explained it to me in that way, and that was very encouraging.
Yeah.
So that's really great. As Lori is saying, my husband used it all the time in his engineering work, so that's great.
Yeah.
Well, we have one more question that I'm just going to get a tidbit from you, Nicole, before we transition over to Colleen. What's one tool or asset that a parent must have, besides patience, that is a must-have for an experienced parent?
This is a good question. So a tool. Okay, so this is how I'm going to answer this, because I will hear on my website a lot that with parents, they'll say, my kid's behind, my kid's behind, my kid's behind. And I will say, okay, there are certain points where we have to go, yeah, if we're 3 grades behind, there's no, you're behind. but mostly I try to say your kid is where your kid is. And the glory of homeschooling is that we can tailor what we're doing to meet them where they're at. Right. So it's to be able to let go of there's a way you think it should be, which for many of us, if we attended public school, was the way we were taught, and there's so many other ways to teach math, that way definitely works. It doesn't work for everybody. So being able to let go of the way you think it should be, because there's just many ways to teach math. Like some of the things that we had this thing for Pi Day, right? Where, people always make their pies. And I'm like, that's great. But let's actually let's learn what pi is. People talk about pi all the time, but they have no idea what it is, So we actually took the circumference of the pies, and then we took the diameter, and we actually distinguished what it was and did it. So, there's more than one way to do things. So you just got to be able to say, you know what, it doesn't have to be the way that I was taught. There's other ways to do it.
That is very encouraging. That is a very, very encouraging thought to kind of, in a sense, free yourself from some things that have been layered on top of you that may not necessarily be true for your parenting or for your child, and to get creative and find creative solutions. That is what convention is all about. So thank you, Nicole, for sharing that. I'm excited to bring now Colleen on with us. Colleen, hello. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. Colleen, for those of you who are not familiar with her, she believes that you are the absolute best teacher there is for your gifted, twice exceptional, or otherwise differently weird kiddo. She's the author of more than a dozen books for parents, teachers, and children. She is an award-winning educator, an educational coach and consultant, and she is a passionate advocate for kids who are wired differently and for their needs. She has a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education, and she's the founder of a podcast and website called Raising Lifelong Learners, as well as the Learners Lab, which is a membership community of support, social and emotional education, and creative thinking lessons for differently wired kids and their parents. So she has a brand new book out called Raising Resilient Sons, a boy mom's guide to building a strong, confident, and emotionally intelligent family. That's available wherever books are sold. She also has a number of other titles out. She will be at convention this year, and we're excited to hear her share about giftedness and gifted learners, igniting a love of learning through projects and exploration, helping anxious children, all of those very, very relevant topics. As well as for tonight, Colleen actually has a giveaway that she is sharing with us. So for those of you I mentioned earlier, our giveaways, this is one thing that you can win by participating tonight. So Colleen, what do you have to give away tonight?
Okay, so this was a last minute. Maureen and I were chatting via email, so I thought it'd be fun. We have some brand new journals out, and one of the things that I work on with kids, gifted kids, creative kids, highly creative kids can be pretty scatterbrained sometimes, right? Highly creative adults can be pretty scatterbrained. So this is a guided journal and planner for teens and tweens, and kind of walks them through setting up their month, their week, and then identifying their top 3 things that they want to work on for the week in order of importance, and then reflecting on the week after it's gone by, what they were grateful for, what they really rocked, and then what they need to work on for the next week. And then there's puzzles in there and some journaling pages. So that one's for teens and tweens. And we intentionally made it empty on the front, so it's theirs. It doesn't have my name on it. My name's on the inside, but this is their book. It's a book for them to make their own, and we started them with some doodles, but it's all open-ended and fun for them. And then the gratitude journal, which is brand new, and actually I was telling Hannah beforehand, at HEAV, it's the first time it's going to be available. It's not even on the website yet. So I just got this week. I'm so excited. It's a gratitude journal for kids. It can be used with tweens. I would say teens might find it a little babyish for them, but my 12-year-old is using it. And it's a 15-week gratitude journal that helps them walk through identifying things in their everyday that they're grateful for. And then also there are some journaling prompts and some puzzles and some coloring sheets and some quotes, just constant reminders to turn themselves, their brains towards what's good instead of hyper-focusing on the things that are going wrong or the things that aren't back to normal yet. I know my own kids, our co-op never regrouped, and they're still sad about that and not seeing their friends on a weekly basis. And so it's really helpful to get them to see what is actually good and what they have going for them and what they can be grateful for, even in the midst of, still a little bit of upheaval.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. I think we all could use a little bit of a gratitude reminder every now and then. It sounds cliche, but it's cliche because it's true, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. I'm excited about them. So I can't wait to share those with everybody.
Yeah, and we're excited to be able to give some of those away tonight. So for those of you who are watching and you want to win a giveaway, make sure you comment and share. That's all you have to do to be entered into a giveaway, which includes Colleen's books. Those are some of the options we have for giveaways tonight. So that's just a sneak peek of some of the stuff we have going on for you at convention. It's very exciting. So speaking of exciting, Colleen, I'm really excited to hear some of your thoughts on gifted children. You call them differently wired. I'm really excited because we've had some really good conversations recently about just kids with different learning styles and how we can accommodate to those. So the first question I'd love to share with you and get your thoughts on: why are gifted kids misunderstood? Where does that come from?
Yeah. So first, just kind of in a nutshell, giftedness is, if we're talking about a straight identification, it's kids who are 2 standard deviations above average IQ wise. But if we're not going to be very technical about it, it's kids who think differently. They see the world, they perceive the world in a different way. They learn things very quickly, rapidly. And then they also can be very different, very asynchronous, meaning they're kind of like many ages at once. So you might have that little kiddo who's professorial, when he's talking to you about whatever it is he's interested in, but then is throwing mulch on the playground, as a 12-year-old with all of the 5-year-olds that are around him. And so he looks discrepant, right? He looks like he's being a bad kid or making really bad choices because he's so smart and he should know it. Gifted kids are often misunderstood because they just they don't fit in any one specific box. They're as different from one another as they are from neurotypical children. And so it's really hard to pin down what exactly is going on. And actually, that's always been one of the interesting things that I found is people who stumble upon the site, maybe that have never heard of my site or me before, find it because of behaviors they're worried about or challenges they're having in their kids' learning or the way they talk back, or are worried about other things, and they read about giftedness or twice exceptionalities or some of the other neurodiversities I talk about too, and they're like, oh wait, that's my kid, that was the missing piece to it. So it's just not a cut and dry diagnosis or identification, or one that most people talk about. So it's just easily misunderstood or missed.
Interesting. So along with that, just seeking to understand the gifted child more, I'm learning as I learn a little bit more about this topic, and as we've had a little bit of conversation, it sounds like gifted children may have a tendency to experience more anxiety or intense emotions. So is there a reason that they tend to have those emotional experiences?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, and I was looking at that and thinking about that as I was preparing for tonight. So when this coming convention, I'm speaking about giftedness in general, and then I'm speaking about anxiety in general, but I'll also talk about how they kind of overlap. Really, many kids who have different neurodiversities, whether they have sensory processing disorder, they're on the autism spectrum, they have anxiety or ADHD or whatever, their diagnoses can kind of overlap. And so specifically with gifted kids and anxiety, we see kids who are perceiving the world at a much higher level than their maturity allows for. So they know bad things happen to good people super early on, and there's not always rhyme or reason for why bad things happen. And it causes this internal conversation with themselves about, well, I'm good, and so a bad thing could happen to me. And they have these big thoughts and big worries and can't emotionally and socially reconcile with them yet, because they're thinking at a level that's much older than their chronological age, but emotionally they're still their chronological age. So it sets up all sorts of uncertainties for them.
That's a hard tension to deal with, I would imagine, as a child in that dynamic. And so then speaking to the parents, is there something parents may, not knowingly, not intentionally, but is there something that parents may do that causes their kids to worry or experience that anxiety?
So I don't really think so. This is one of those things, like I tell parents all the time, I talk about, so I've been speaking for years and years, and almost every single year, wherever I go, one of my talks is about anxiety, especially now, because it's ramped up, right? In our world, we've had all sorts of things happen that can trigger that. And I inevitably have somebody in the room who is listening and saying, oh my gosh, this was me, and I gave this to my kid. I caused this problem. And the thing is, you are the perfect parent for your kid, and maybe you're anxious or you've had these kinds of challenges in your past so that you are better equipped to shepherd your child through those struggles. Maybe it was just setting you up so you could be the exact person your kid needed to get through some of those things they were already wired to be and to experience. And so I don't believe any of us cause that stuff in our kids. I do believe that we have the ability to help our kids build a toolbox of strategies so they can tackle their worry and they can mitigate it, and they can do a little bit better each time they feel that panic or that worry kind of take over. And we don't know what we don't know. So any of us who are just discovering anxiety in our kids didn't have the tools ourselves to deal with it before we recognized it. So worrying about what you may or may not have said or done in the past to quote unquote cause it is really fruitless. And it's just a cycle that's not going to help you or your kid. And the truth is, God doesn't make mistakes. So you're right where you need to be when you need to be to help your kid discover what is cool about themselves and their anxiety. My anxious daughter, I do have one who's identified with generalized anxiety disorder, and she is the sweetest, most empathetic, kindest person I've ever met. And I think her worry over everything that's going on in the world helps her be more in tune with what others are thinking. So we can talk about it like it's a superpower. And I think that you have what you have, parents, because you were designed to be that cheerleader for your kiddo.
That's an encouraging thought. There is so much encouragement coming from both of you ladies this evening. I hope those of you who are watching are feeling that encouragement kind of radiate from the screen. This may be a question that I think both of you could probably speak to. What is the best way to approach specifically the topic of math if you have or suspect you may have a gifted learner?
So I'll go first and then you can add, Nicole. With any subject, okay, so first, giftedness doesn't mean just academically advanced. So giftedness overall is a cognitive ability. It's the ability to master topics, but not always academic topics. I've worked with kids for decades who are gifted, and some, if you looked at their papers or the work that they turn in, you would be shocked at what their actual IQ was, because their brain has focused on other things. They may be just demonstrating that in different ways. So first, you really just need to be a student of your own kiddo. You need to know where your kid is in any subject, whether it's math or language arts or any writing, whatever, and move them forward each day. I think one of the biggest travesties in the school systems for gifted kids, and I worked there, I worked in the schools with gifted kids for a long time. And one of the biggest struggles that we had was that we couldn't always move our kids forward when we needed to. Like, they were tied to keeping them in the box of a certain grade level. And as homeschoolers, we don't have to do that. So our goal needs to be allowing your kids to learn something new every day and move forward every day, whatever pace that is. And so if your child is gifted in math and is showing an aptitude and is cruising through things, then you keep them going. If they're itty bitty and they are able to do like 6th or 7th grade math, I'm not saying you go and you put it in front of them because you know in your gut they can do it. I'm saying if they're asking for it or they're going through it and they're loving the acceleration, then you keep accelerating. And then if they need a break, you take a little bit of a break. You work with them so that it never becomes this chore, this thing that they have to do because their brain is wired in the way it is. They're accelerating as they're ready to accelerate because you both are enjoying it and wanting it to happen.
Yeah, I'm going to chime in on that because I was thinking exactly the same thing, that this is the glory of homeschooling, isn't it? That you can tailor the pace of what you're doing to your child's learning. You know, and that's going to be different for the different children that are in your home, right? So whether you've got a kid, that's, gifted, as you were talking, I have a son who's on the autism spectrum. That's how I became a homeschool mom. I called it more out of necessity because I felt that we were just going to go off a cliff if I kept him where he was, And I look at it like you're, as you said, going to keep them moving forward wherever they're at, right? So if you've got some kids who can move it really fast and people are like, well, should I just stay at the 3rd grade? And I'm like, what is 3rd grade? Like, the kid is telling you they're ready for the next thing and they're excited for the next thing. And your job is to keep them excited, keep feeding that thirst for knowledge. So if they're ready for more, give them more. We don't want to push them. We don't want to get behind and push. We want to get out in front and bring them, maybe stand next to them and walk along as well, right? On the other side, I've got a lot of parents that we have a special group on one of our Facebook groups, which I call it for teaching challenges, right? Because I know there's certain things we run into when you've got a kid, with a certain, learning challenge, an ADHD or an autism or whatever it may be. And I say it's the same thing. Again, there's I don't think of it as being behind. I think of it as okay, so how do I create wins for my child and keep this thirst for knowledge going? And listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. I can't wait to talk to you, Colleen, because I'm going to say it is not easy. It's not always easy, but I'm just always thinking about growth, the next step. Just give me the next step. So
I want to agree with you there. I think that, if anything, is one of the biggest misunderstandings and misconceptions when it comes to giftedness and twice exceptionalities and other neurodiversities. Well, you know what it is, and so now you can just do it or fix it or whatever, or they're gifted. So what are you complaining about? It's still neurodiverse. It's still different than the norm, and it's not easy. And it's a different approach to learning. I remember years ago being at a convention and having a mom come over to the booth, and she was in tears, and she wanted advice on what to do because she went to buy her 3-year-old a first grade math program, and the whoever she was talking to didn't want to. Her child was with her and didn't want to sell it to her because she said, they told her that your kids just need to play. And she's like, my kid is begging for this. I just want to buy them math, and I want something that they can grow on. And the thing about gifted kids who are gifted academically, that is their play. Mm-hmm. If they're asking for it, that's playful. I had a little girl who hung out. We've actually become friends. She still keeps in touch with me. She's 10 now. She was 4. And she brought this like unabridged copy of Alice in Wonderland. That's what she bought with the money her mom gave her to spend in the exhibit hall. And she read it under the table in my booth while her mom and I chatted. And the next day she came because she'd finished it overnight and bought, with the rest of her spending money, a study guide for Alice in Wonderland and a purple marker that she like fisted as she filled in the answers. Mm-hmm. That was play to her. And she was so excited to do it. It's not our job to tell them they can't. It's our job to find out how we can help them do the things they want to do. Mm-hmm. And like Nicole said, we're not pushing them. We're not dragging them. We're walking alongside of them, or we're finding the resources to keep them excited about learning.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. I loved that illustration of that 4-year-old child.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
it just illustrates how homeschooling provides that adaptable, creative, free space for kids to develop, to pursue their interests, to grow in the ways that they have been gifted by the Lord. So that's just very, very encouraging, I think, from both of you. So before we wrap up, I would love to open up the question section. We only have a couple minutes, so I don't want to prolong it too far, but I'd love to open up the question session. If anybody has a question that you would like Nicole or Colleen to address, we have time for 1 or 2 questions. So if you want to pop those in the question section down below in the comments. And remember, if you comment, that counts as an entry for our giveaways this evening. So might as well, if you have a question, you might as well just throw it in there.
That's what we're here for.
I know that's what Nicole and Colleen are both present and willing to answer a couple of questions. While we wait for those, as a reminder, everybody is tired of hearing about this, but I'm not tired of saying it because it's important and I want everybody to know registration ends tomorrow. So if you have not registered and you're listening to Nicole, you're listening to Colleen, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I need more of this content to equip me in my homeschooling journey with my children, then go ahead and register. There is nothing stopping you. HEAV.org/convention is where you can get all of the information. So make sure you register now before the price goes up at the door after tomorrow. As well, if you have entered, you've been commenting, you've been sharing our content, and you are waiting, did I win a giveaway? Did I win a giveaway? I need to know. Giveaway winners will be announced tomorrow. So keep an eye on social media and you will find out. And we will be able to get you connected with your giveaway if you are a winner. So do we have any questions tonight? We may not have any questions tonight. I know we had some earlier, and this is a lot of really, really good content. So we may have people just absorb.
Can I say, Hannah, Laura Wilkerson said in there that when her 7-year-old read about tsunamis, he was super worried about tsunamis. And the strategy that you use, Laura, is fabulous because a lot of times our bright kids or just kids who are super sensitive, right? When they read about things or they hear about things, they can internalize them and not even understand exactly why they're worried or why something may not happen. I mean, we're not going to get a tsunami here in Ohio because we're landlocked. And so by taking him to the library and helping him understand, when these things happen, why they happen, it's a really great way to honor those worries and empathize with them and show your kids that you're listening and you're on their team and that you're going to help them find the information to ease them. That's so beautiful. And what a great mom you are, and what a great strategy that was to use.
Go, Laura! Woo! Great job, Laura. Well, ladies, it has been a pleasure this evening. You have provided some very encouraging snippets, and I hope some previews to what you'll be sharing at convention. So I know I'm excited for more of what you guys will be sharing, and I hope that the parents and home educators here are excited to come and hear you as well. So I want to thank you so much for taking some time and sharing your insight and wisdom with us this evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just as excited, I think, as the people who are in the group. Like, I'm going to be visiting all the exhibits again for myself as another homeschool mom. You're always trying to, make it great for your child.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't wait. It's fun.
Yeah, convention is the perfect space to do that. So we're excited to see you guys there. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.